Legitimate swells.
Like we felt on the swim today.
There was a hype that there could be swells, but I think all in all, as for a swim, from what it was hyped up to be, I think we got pretty lucky today.
But I will say bright, fruitful, and adventurous describes us pretty well.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I already cracked mine. I didn't want to wait for the video to start. My bad.
We had a race today.
It's a good race.
We did.
We all jumped off a ferry, one by one.
Who needs a cannon when you have a boat horn? There was no doubt of when this thing was starting.
The swim, we are in a bit of Lake Erie, so there was some chop, but it really wasn't that bad. There was a lot of talk prior saying, oh, this is going to be a slowish swim. And yeah, it wasn't my best swim, but it wasn't considerably slower. So I still feel like I had a good swim. Yes, there was some chop, but there was a little bit of current that took you on the backside. So it kind of all equaled out.
I continue to be a weaker swimmer than I prefer, and that'll be my second half of 2024 project. Last year at Worlds in Lati, I finished one of these sub 40, and I have not done that since, at least without the assistance of a current. So one of the many things I'll be focusing on second half of this year and next year is get to be a little bit of a better swimmer.
You and me both, Colin. But
Caitlin and I basically swam together the entire way. Swimming still leaves something to be desired, especially if I look at my age group rankings, and I looked once and I won't look again.
We got a surprise this morning. This race has never been wetsuit legal, and I think about 4:30 this morning, the Ironman tracker app posted the update that it was wetsuit legal, and we were like, wow, we weren't really expecting that or planning for that. And I think the anticipation of the swim, we had talked to people who have done this race previously, and we've had some folks who have reached out to us and told us about this race. I had low expectations for the swim. I really expected it to be worse than it was. I think all of the conditions came together for race day to make it perfect. I was fine wetsuit legal or not, but it was nice to have that. Might as well. We had overcast skies, so we weren't swimming into the sun heading back toward the finish. And we also, like Caitlin said, had a little bit of current that was pushing us. And I came out of the water about the time that I expected. You know, nothing groundbreaking or record breaking for me by any means, but it was respectable and it was a good start to my day. I was happy to get out of the water, as you've seen possibly in a previous episode, and get on to that very flat bike course and see what my legs were going to do on the day.
we did show a little video of less than desirable things in the water, but I will say, honestly, I don't think it was the worst water we've ever swam in.
No.
So,
Same.
this is all talk. One of the fun things about Colin and I kind of having a similar pace on the swim is that we typically come into T1 together. And so
We get to say hi.
Yeah, it's always kind of fun having that quick little exchange in words and good luck. I'm typically out of transition a little bit quicker, so I always tell him, come get me. And I can always count on him to come up behind me somewhere on the bike course and give me that motivating words.
I got maybe a quarter of a mile into the bike and I had to hop off real quick. My bike has had brake rubbing issues going back a year, and it's been to the shop and I've tweaked it, and this is like the 5th or 6th time it's happened.
It's time for a new bike.
New bike.
We'll have that conversation a different day. But this is my first time having to stop in a race and deal with my bike on the side of the road, so I guess I can check that box off now. It only took me like 2 minutes or whatnot to get the brakes fixed, and they were never an issue after that. Like, at least I know how to fix the issue. But I was biking cranky and angry for the first 15 miles or so. Not that it cost me a lot of time, but I was cranky that this same recurring issue popped up again.
I didn't have much of a plan going into this race, but the little bit of plan I did was I was gonna send it on the bike and see what happens. And that's what I did. About halfway through the bike, I realized, it dawned on me that not one female had passed me yet. And so
Bad.
this guy passed me at like mile 15, and then he was going, but I was like, oh, Colin. So I had to ease up, and then I was like, nope, I gotta pass him.
I'll check Strava, but I continue to maintain that she just kept crushing it harder, caught back up to me, and then I managed to end up passing her again. I hate being yo-yo guy, and I apologize to her, but I need to go check my power outage, or power watts, but I'm pretty sure it was not me slowing down, it was her crushing it.
It was all in good
Cheers
fun.
to crushing it.
Yeah.
Cheers. And so I just kept that with me. I was like, this could be a bike course, a bike race that I might not ever see another woman pass me. And so that fueled the remainder of the bike course. And also, our mantra is race mighty. And that just kept my drive. Yeah, there were a couple lulls where I kind of lost a little bit of power, but then I regained it and felt strong all the way to the finish. I will say it wasn't my fastest bike time, but I was 6th in my age group, and I'm pretty pumped about that.
Yeah, that was impressive. And you came up behind me and you just went. I mean, I know we had a few words as you were kind of passing me, but you looked strong, you looked great, and that kind of boosted me to keep going on my ride. I was having a good ride. My power wasn't working when we got set up in transition before the race, and so I didn't have any power to go by. So I was going by heart rate, I was going by average miles per hour, but I know you can't really judge that too much. But I used those metrics, and I was having a solid start, and there you go, flying by me, and all I could think was to tell you to just go crush that bike course, because I know that's your bread and butter and that's where you really shine. I
haven't uploaded my ride to Strava yet, so famous last words, but based on what I saw on my Wahoo, this should be my highest power output ever in a 70.3. And that was sort of by design, because I've made poor life decisions in the last 2 months, and I've done 4 of these races in that period of time. And for this one, I just wanted to get different and see what could happen. So I wanted to do 10 watts higher than what I'd been shooting for in the previous 3 races. I think I got there. I'll check. But it should be my highest power output ever in a 70.3. And if not, I'm sure it's real close. So it was a good day for me.
A good day for me as well. I think anytime I can go under 3 hours on the bike, that's kind of my benchmark. I've been fighting and scrapping and trying and hoping and all the things and training to try to do that. And I can't remember exactly the last time I had gone under 3 hours on the bike, but it's been a while. And as I kept getting closer and ticking off the miles, I started to do the math, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be under 3 hours. And I had a really strong first hour of the bike ride. Kind of in the middle, I lost a little bit of miles per hour average. And then the back half of the bike course, probably the last 10 or 12 miles, had a tailwind, had some downhill, and I really took advantage of that, really bumped my average back up. And I started to do the math and saw that I was going to go comfortably under 3 hours, and that just had me hyped, because I've been trying so hard. I've been trying so hard to get back to that point, and it felt really good. It was a bike course that was made for me. I like flat, I like time trial, and also I love perfect, smooth asphalt.
Boom.
And I would say about
really good.
98% of this course was pristine,
Yeah.
and the parts that were even a little bit of chip seal weren't terrible,
No.
at least compared to what we are experienced with in Texas.
I'd say road conditions at this course were probably the best road conditions
About
we've
as good
ridden.
as, yeah.
I will hype this bike course to anyone. I will also hype this race to anyone.
Tiffany was having such a good day that I was starting to get nervous, because I wasn't catching her.
Yeah.
I wasn't catching her.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking in my mind, when Colin and I were in T1, there was another gentleman next to us trying to talk to us. And I was trying to replay the visual in my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, was Tiffany's bike there yet? Was her bike still sitting there? And I was legitimately getting worried. And
I was
like,
doing the same thing, because
and
it
then-
took a while for us to
And
get
the
to
same
her.
thing happened to me. Is I was like, Caitlin and Colin haven't come by yet. Oh my gosh. And then I start
yeah, and
freaking
then
out.
Colin
We all
hadn't-
got each other nervous.
Colin hadn't caught me, so I was like, oh shit, did Colin know that something happened to Tiffany? And Colin stopped. But I did see Katie behind the camera, lovely Katie. I saw her coming out of T1, and she looked so happy. So I was thinking to myself, well, she wouldn't look so happy if something was wrong. So, but then eventually I caught up to Tiff, and Colin caught up to
It was
me.
after
But
the first aid station.
Yeah, it was-
I
it
was
was well into
cycling
the
and
ride.
like I know I'm going pretty quick, and I have not found either of them yet. So I had questions, and I'm glad the answer was crushing it, as we seem to do. We arrived in transition within seconds of each other, got to give each other some encouragement just to go out and start the run. And I like having a friend in transition. It's nice. It's a nice boost as you start the next discipline. So we should do this more.
Done. Twist my arm. I got on my stuff. I told Colin to get me, just like I did on the bike. Made my way out of T2. Unfortunately, I don't think my nutrition was quite right on the bike, and so I had some GI issues going on. So unfortunately, I didn't make just one nor two, but 3 potty stops along the 13.1 mile journey. It wasn't my best run, wasn't my worst run, but I was a little worried right out the gate that it was going to be a struggle. I tried to power through it the best I could, but I knew I needed to make those stops or it was going to be a bad day.
I couldn't decide. I passed you the first time I passed you. Normally you're hooting and hollering, shouting at me, and you didn't say anything. And so I thought you looked good from my perspective. And what I was thinking is that she's just full gas and she can't talk. So that's kind of where my mind went, is like, okay, she's fine. And then the second time I saw you, I kind of gave a thumbs up, thumbs down.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
And I asked how you were feeling, and you were kind of like, meh. I don't know exactly what you said, but then I was like, damn, man,
And I hate that too, because we play off of each other's energy, and I hated to put, I wouldn't say negative or bad energy, but it wasn't the bubbly good energy that I'd like to give out there. And I didn't want to play a role in how her race was going.
Yeah, I had to kind of reframe my mindset after that, because you're right, we do play off each other so much, but I knew I was doing okay on the run. I was having some good splits and I was happy with where I was at. So I just told myself, you came too far to let something else affect you, and that, when the race is over, we'll have our time, we'll talk about it, we'll, commiserate, but I can't let that impact my race, because I had a good swim, I had an exceptional bike, and if I would be so mad at myself if I had let myself step off the gas. And I wasn't quite sure. I mean, sometimes your perspective of my run wasn't great is like still, great in my eyes. So I also had to kind of tell myself, we'll talk about it after.
Counterpoint, I play off of both of their energy a lot. And
sorry about the Seminole comment.
We'll let that go. When I see either of them, even if it's blocks away, I will bellow out their name and start screaming.
True story.
And
Yeah.
I never got the vibe that either of them were doing anything other than crushing it. And that certainly played into my day.
And I saw you crushing it, man. That was great. That first hand slap when we crossed paths that first time, man, I think you left a red mark that still might be
I
there.
think he left a red mark on my hand too.
That's great.
I've gotten better at the hand slap. This is about a little over a year that we've been racing together. The first high fives, there was like foul balls, like you bat off the bottom and falls to the home plate. It's sick and pathetic. These are solid high fives. Maybe I'm slapping too hard, but it's enthusiasm, and it comes with a warning 2 blocks away where they hear their name being screamed at the top of my lungs. So I play off of their energy, and the high five gives me a boost to keep going.
Another thing that gave me a boost was the sequence that I saw you both on the run course. I saw Colin, and then maybe 5 minutes later I would see Caitlin, and that kind of continued to be the trend for most of the race. So I knew once I saw Colin, then I'd have Caitlin to look forward to, and that's really nice to just have that energy out on the course, to share it, and to know, kind of anticipate where you're going to see them. And like I said earlier,
I'm the warm-up act for the main event.
I wasn't quite sure what kind of run I was going to have today, especially coming off that bike. In the back of my mind was did I overbike? And then the second thought that I had was, it's been 8 weeks since Chattanooga. We're in the depths of summer in Austin right now, and the training, even though the training has been good, it hasn't been the same quality, because we do have to adapt to the heat. We do have to kind of dial some things back. Nothing in training gave me any kind of indication that I was going to have the type of run or the type of day that I had today. Even on the bike and training, I feel like my power has kind of diminished a bit since Chattanooga. I had no idea what I was in for. And I kept seeing the mile splits. I'd look at my watch to see what the mile splits were, and that was the only thing I was looking at. I had no idea of cumulative time. And I was happy with my splits, and then I got to the last 3 miles, and I'm like, well, if you can just do 10-minute miles, you're going to have pretty close to what your run was in Chattanooga. And all things considered, yeah, that would have been a big win. The course was great, incredible spectator support. The volunteers were incredible. I can't say enough about just the organization and just the community support, everything that was out there that made our day possible and that made our days better. You know, I just kept ticking the miles away. Like, man, it doesn't feel as easy as it felt in Chattanooga, but the time's pretty close. All I got to do is just average 10-minute mile or faster in this last 3 miles, and I'm gonna have a pretty good run time. That's all I was thinking of. And of course, it's a short finish chute, which was really nice. You make that right turn, and
right
there it
there.
is. You don't have to have the anticipation and the buildup. I was so grateful for that. And it's lined with spectators, and of course, I'm gonna get the spectators involved, and it was incredible. Great energy heading to the finish line. I saw Colin and Caitlin. I crossed the finish line, and I knew I wanted to see what the time was. I thought the time was going to be close to Chattanooga time. I thought it was going to be 5:50, mid 5:50s. And I turned around.
Speaking of letting out a bellow.
And I saw 5:46, a 40. Just, I had no idea. That, like I said, I did not anticipate anything of my day being like that, and there it was, and I was just like, yeah, I did that. I did that. You know, I've been coaching myself, and I've had the 2 best results that I've had in 3 or 4 years. I mean, I can't knock anything about how this day went.
Are we supposed to say something after that?
Yeah, I don't know how to follow that. Like that's kind
Also, I have cedar fever. Thank you, Northern Ohio, for the allergies. Yeah. I've been sniffling the whole trip.
So maybe my run didn't go as I had hoped, but it was really awesome getting to see both Colin and Tiffany 3 times. I think we all crossed paths 3 times.
a lot of high fives.
So the run course is pretty much just 3 roads that run parallel to each other, and it's just like kind of back, down, over, down, across, up, down. Very spectator friendly. I will say all the homes that run alongside the course, a lot of them came out and were cheering. A lot of them had sprinklers out in the road for you to run through.
There were so many sprinklers, like
Yeah.
more than I've seen in any race
Yeah.
combined.
People with garden hoses asking, hey, do you want spray? Yes, give me the water.
Unlike in Nashville and Austin, there are obviously no water restrictions here because they used all the
similar
water.
They got a whole lake back here.
And the same thing out on the bike course. It was pretty much just farmhouses out there, but also all the families from like neighboring farmhouses would come together and sit at the end of their driveway, and they would have made their own signs and
Yeah.
staked them in their
We
driveway.
were the local celebrities today. All
Yeah,
the triathletes,
they-
all 1,400 of us were the local
They
celebrities.
cheer us all on. They don't know who we are, but they were just out there, just
Yeah.
I like cowbells.
a lot of cowbells.
Yeah, a lot of
There were.
cowbells.
It was great. I know we've done a lot of 70.3 races, and I know we just finished this race just hours ago, but I'm willing to put Ohio 70.3 at the top of some of the Ironman races that we've done. I would highly recommend.
I right now would rank it higher than Chattanooga. I would rank it number 1 right now
And
for
we
a
kinda-
domestic race.
We kind of like Chattanooga, but
Yeah.
it
was
was
good.
great.
It's a great course
and
for me.
logistic wise, this was super easy. One transition, parking was simple, spectator friendly. I mean, it was easy.
Yeah.
My run was fine. It took me about 5 miles to shake off that I had probably overbiked, but like I said, I was experimenting at this point. When you've done 4 of these in 2.5 months, you got to do something different. And it didn't really impact the race in any way. But the first 4 or 5 miles, like the first kind of zigzag through, I didn't feel as great as I normally do. And I was kind of wondering if it was going to be a longer day, and I'm glad to have shaken it off. But, you know, whatever. You live and learn. Maybe the next time I'll actually taper and prepare for one of these.
But Colin,
Where's the fun in that?
You're complaining about a PR.
Right. I mean,
Yeah, he failed to mention that he PR'd this race.
so I've done 4 races, 2.5 months. This makes no sense. I don't recommend it. This was never the plan. Never the plan. This is how it worked
Or
out
was
because
it?
of peer pressure and these people.
Yeah, so much pressure.
Each
Under
race
pressure.
was faster than the race before it, and that's sort of skewed a bit because of the courses. But today was 5:08, and like I have said way too many times on these recaps, it's a new PR for me. I've said my goal for the year is to finish one of these under sub 5. I'm creeping towards it, and I mean, not to complain, but I didn't feel great in the first 5 miles of the run. Not that I think I would have gotten there anyway, but yeah, whatever. There will not be another race in 4 weeks, like I promise. I know I keep lying and then racing again. I'm a habitual
Don't
liar
worry,
at
we
this
are not
point.
gonna peer pressure you into any race for the rest of the year, unless it's like a 10K or something.
Yeah, like I cannot wait to do one of these again with a normal taper process because I have not done that since April, and I've done 4 of these. So, you know, questionable life decisions on my part. It was a great day, even if I felt a little sluggish on the run.
Speaking of great day, I did not expect the time result, and I sure as heck didn't expect the placement result. After the race, we got our athlete food, sat down. I got reunited with my phone, and I really wasn't going to go through my phone or look at anything, but one of the top notifications on my lock screen was Tiffany got 6th. And I saw that and I was like, no. So I pulled up the tracker app because I had to know where I finished, because it surely couldn't have been 6th. Well, it wasn't 6th because there were some people that must have finished between that time that message was sent and the actual time that I checked it.
Screenshots
But-
are forever, Tiffany. You can share that and
But-
say 6th.
Well, I didn't see the 6th, but I saw 9th. And I was like, it's almost been long enough that I feel comfortable that this result's gonna hold. And I got a little teary-eyed because it's a top 10 at a race that's pretty competitive and a pretty deep field. I think there were 57 or 60 females in my age group that finished, and to finish 9th in the top 10 after, you know, the long road that I've been on and taking the plunge to coach myself this year. Man, I mean, if Chattanooga was validation, I don't know what this is, but anybody who's doubted me or anybody who's given up on me, that's fine, because I'm finding a whole new potential in myself, and I'm doing it for myself and doing it my way. And there's a lot of reward in that.
When you showed me that when we were having our pizza underneath the tent, you showed me that, I thought we were just going to sit there right together and just cry.
If there weren't so many other athletes around, I might have. I held back the tears.
Look, y'all, I cry all the time at these things. It's okay.
Yeah, it was, and also, you know, it wasn't yet reality. Like, it wasn't final. So I didn't want to get too pent up into it, but
But it's final now.
it's final now, and I have a top. It's not my first top 10. I think I had a top 10 in Lubbock, but those fields there weren't as
smaller.
many athletes, so I feel really validated
Race
with this
results
result
last
today.
forever. Screenshots last forever. Top 10.
Yeah, I'm
Badass.
really proud. Really proud.
I had a great time today. I'm super excited for the two of them, for their times. But my takeaway from today is that silly Darius Rucker country song and how thankful I am that it all led me here to this.
Well, we're thankful that this happened too, and we've had so many laughs on this trip in every trip that we've been on, we've shared so many great experiences and memories.
When we
and
all have to share a bathroom
and,
together,
yeah.
things are gonna happen.
It's-
It
it's-
led to this.
It's great. It's all great. And, you know, we're not the biggest tri team out there. We're not the most prominent. We're not, you know, making millions of dollars being a triathlon team or a coaching group. We're just friends who love the sport, and I will put money on it that we are the most fun team in triathlon. And it's special people that make that possible. We're grateful for you and Katie and everyone who has supported us along the way.
By the way, cheers to the cop that just drove by and did not care about our open alcohol containers. Cheers to you, bro.
Cheers to all.
Cheers to you, Colin.
Poor
Katie.
Katie.
Katie's
All right,
done.
Katie's
Yeah.
put the selfie mode on. Put the selfie. Turn it around. Turn it around. Oh,
Flip it around. Flip the camera.
this is what you do for the sport. She said, "Interview's over. Bye, bye,
We
Felicia."
talked for over half an hour. I'm sure you have what you needed.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
plenty of good
Katie.
stuff.